regarding your company and your work will be perceived positively by others. Exert the same positivity towards your coworkers, being supportive of them and trying to find common interests outside of work. Connecting with others at a more personal level will help communication, trust, and your ability to overcome conflict. It is common to find and take advantage of activities and outside the workplace that allow you to bond with coworkers. Common examples are team lunches, dinners, taking a fitness class, a sport league, etc. And as I've mentioned before, the best thing you can do for yourself is find a job that you enjoy doing with people being around. Once this is the case, achieving these other dimensions of value and success is significantly easier. Third piece here, work hard. The most traditional way to stand out among your peers is to, of course, work hard, having higher level of output than your peers. Being a hard worker is key to being valuable, but remember that you must work smart in addition to working hard. Simply working hard without working towards exceeding a given metric you're measured on is not the best use of time. If you're working harder and you're truly being more valuable, then you're completing more valuable activities to the company in the same fixed period of time as someone else. For example, in early stage sales careers, the metric you're benchmarked on is the number of leads or meetings or revenue you generate for the business. If you have 5 entry-level sales employees and on average each generates 10 leads a day, try generating 12 or more leads. Find that benchmark of average and exceed it. Figuring out a better process for getting leads, making more cold calls, and iterating on more efficient call scripts, for example, are ways that you could improve your average output and as a result, stand out from your peers and provide more value. So no matter what your role is, you have this opportunity to look at what it is you do on a day-to-day basis. Is there ways you can do it more efficiently? Is there processes you can improve? Is there a more efficient script, things you can say for more positive reception by others? Take all that, iterate, and improve continually on it as well. Now, another thing to remember though is it's key to have persistence and sustained performance. Don't work hard one week and expect change behaviors in the ways you're valued in your job. Generally, it takes at least 2 quarters, 6 months of visible high performance for the organization to realize and provide value. This notion of visibility into your performance is extremely important, as unobserved hard work is not rewarded. In this case, if a tree falls in a forest and no one in the business is there to observe it, it does not make a sound. Which brings me to my next key point. Be humble, but not invisible. Value, although objective, must be perceived. If there is no visibility into your hard work, there is no clear example of the value you provide or bring. For this reason, it is important to not only take credit for your work, but to make sure you find ways to clearly document data and information relevant to the metrics that show your value. In sales, document and show your conversion rate, the total amount of revenue, the number of net new customers, the number of return of customers and renewals, the customer promoter score you have, etc. Find those dimensions. It's also very easy if you're in sales because everything is so concrete and quantified. Now, if you're in a different department such as customer support, you have a completely different set of metrics. CSAT, number of cases resolved per month, etc. If they are not already clearly recorded, begin recording your work in some way. In addition to these objective measurements, write down subjective positive feedback you receive from your customers or coworkers. Whether it's emails that get sent to you that you quickly just save to your inbox. When it's time for reviews, bringing those things up, both the objective data and the subjective positive feedback, is key to building your brand and quantifying that pay increase or promotion. Ideally, you'll also have data points from your peers or an industry benchmark. So you could say, hey, look, this is where the average is performing and I'm above average. The next lesson you're likely to experience early on in your career is that workplace politics is a condition found in most, if not all, organizations. You will see internal feuds, so importantly, a number of individuals you'll also see vying to be favored by management. A result of this can be managers or other peers taking credit for your work, or that they make it seem like that you've contributed more than they did. So ensure that you can take credit for your own work, but that also means take responsibility when errors or mistakes occur. In addition, do your best never to undermine or create conflict with the peer. If you want to disagree, do so with objective data rather than opinion. On the same note, if you do have objective data that you know contradicts a judgment made from someone higher or more senior to you in the organization, don't be afraid to share it for consideration. On the note of being humble, don't downplay others for knowing less or accomplishing less. If everyone knew everything or worked extremely hard and efficiently, there would be no way to differentiate yourself. So when you're around with your peers, don't downplay their skills or knowledge. Consider what they have to say and use your own judgment to make the ultimate decision. Don't be blinded as well by organizational structure or rank. Don't devalue the opinion of those below you, and don't blindly accept the opinion of those above you. If your managers do a good job, you should naturally find yourself promoted or compensated above your less knowledgeable or skilled peers. Have patience and realize what you can and cannot control. On the same regard, don't flaunt title, knowledge, or abilities, as mentioned. Take pride in your work, have visibility without downplaying the work of others. My next tip is to understand the value of your role and what you value. So it's also important to understand what your role is valued at, not only to your business, but to yourself. You should always want your work to provide value to the business. No value means no money to pay you and no demand for that given unit of work. No demand for that supply of no value labor. If you expect to ask for more money, you need to be ready to justify what you're currently undervalued in your pay compared to the value you bring. Understand that the simpler the work, the more individuals can do the work, and as a result, the lower the compensation because the labor pool for that same work is a lot larger. Also understand that based on the work, there are natural limits on what an individual's pay can be. So if you're a fast food worker or a retail worker, don't expect that after reading this book, you can make six figures in that same quick service industry role because A, there's no barrier to entry for the labor. So there is a lot of labor supply which drives down pay to the floor. And B, even if a retail individual does a great job of making sales, the margin that the business makes after paying wages doesn't justify a six-figure salary, right? So say you're a single employee, you're at a boba shop, and you're getting steady customers. Well, you may not sell in a year $100,000 worth of boba. So if you're paid $100,000, sure, you're a stellar employee, the business is still losing money. So realize that in order to make more money, you need to provide more money to the company, meaning getting customers that are worth millions of dollars instead of these, small consumer transactions, a couple of $10. So on the other hand, an enterprise sales representative settling a multi-million-dollar contract can easily justify a higher salary because there's some level of product acumen and understanding of the value involved to the customer, not to mention the potential network ties this rep gives the company access to. Some people ask why salespeople get paid such large bonuses, sometimes making even more than doctors by simply selling. At the end of the day, to sell well is to understand the value of what it is you sell and to demonstrate to the client or customer that you have something that they can value that helps them solve a problem that they have. In the same regard, the value of the salesperson is the easiest to quantify in the business, as you can set it as a discrete function of their sales. It's very easy when you can tangibly say someone made $1 million, maybe you want to pay them 20% of that revenue. So to reiterate a previously mentioned point, the visibility of a hardworking salesperson is effortless because the objectivity, the numbers, they speak for themselves. So with your roles, you may not be in sales, you may not be directly tied to revenue number. That's why it's so important to understand your metric, your performance, and then what is your value of that performance. So